first of all, this is how a normal moveswap will look like. Try to get yourself a flat surface ground to practice in. In your menu, you want the weapon you want to moveswap with, so the running, plunging, and backstab attack. You want to transfer off. You want that in your first weapon slot, and you want it to be toggled. Not that you have your second slot toggled. You have to actually have it active. In the second slot, you want the bow, because the bow is the only weapon in the game that can be two-handed in the left-hand slot. So we're gonna abuse that in this glitch. Third of all, you want the weapon you want to transfer this moveset onto. So the quick double step from the mill breaker, I want to transfer that onto my dragon tooth. In that case, you have to make sure the short bow is either directly below or directly above the weapon of choice. So during the move swap, you want to make sure that you switch out the bow for the weapon of choice during the two-handing animation. What that does is, instead of two-handing the bow, the game still queues up the two-handing animation, and instead of two-handing the bow, it will two-hand the weapon that is in that slot. And because you swapped up the bow from the other, from the dragon tooth in this case, it two-hands the dragon tooth in the left hand. But because the bow does not have the three previous named attacking types, the backstab, plunging, and running attack, it will retrieve that information from the right hand weapon. In this case, the mill breaker, which will result in a quick double step on a huge weapon, which normally it is a long, slow overhead that only hits once. So here you can see that the mill breaker actually has this similar attacking type that I just transferred it onto. So the procedure is relatively simple. Can I slow this down? Video. I should be right. There. So what you want to do is you want to take a look at here, and while I'm doing the moveswap glitch, you will see that I open the menu and go into the bow. I L1 here to two-hand and swap it out before it's done two-handing. L1. The thing is, I will come into here later. You can press L1 around the time when the feet of the character hit the ground. So I press it here, a little bit before. Then you go into the menu, swap over to the weapon slot, but just a tricky part because there is menu delay here, which I will explain later. Go into the bow, go down to the bow, press A or X, and swap it for the dragon tooth. That's what you want to do, and I'm gonna go through some explanatory about what can go wrong and what the game tells you you're doing wrong at that point, so you can get used to the moveswap way quicker. So let's go to that. Alright. So if you press L1 too early, you will see a case of nothing happens. Oh, it's still slow. What the fuck? Oh my god, could you? There we go. So here we'll see that when I press L1 here, it's now, and my feet are still a lot above the ground. Like the action, the way this works is the action will not be queued up, and that is the whole basis of this glitch. So action not queued up, what you will see is nothing but you equip the weapon in your left hand, just like that. No movement, just nothing. Like that. Here I opened the menu really early as well, so if you notice that your menu is opened really early, then it's probably because you're pressing L1 too early. What I like to do is here just try out for myself when I can press L1, what's like the earliest I can, because the earlier you can press it, the easier the glitch will become. So this was again too early, and here it worked. So pressing L1 is for me what helped me the most in discovering how to get consistent at this glitch. Since if you press L1 really late, the window of you being able to pull off the swapping will become smaller. However, if you press it early as possible, and you have quite some time to actually do the trick. So on to the next part. The next part is being too slow with swapping out, which is possible because yeah, that's what happens. If you see that if you don't know what you're doing wrong and you see this, so you do the move swap, and you see here the bow, and you saw like the little crossing of the hands, like that. That means you are too slow with swapping out the bow from the dragon tooth or whatever. So what's a big part of this is the menu delay. Like this, you'll probably see this a lot when you start because you're just spamming the buttons. The only thing I can really give is a tip or can say when this happens is practice. Practice. There is no really, it's muscle memory. You have to build it up, and because you want to pull off the move swap consistently, you need the muscle memory anyway. But the time, like menu delay is the thing where you can open a menu, be in this menu, and you want to go over here. But Dark Souls has this nice little feature where you cannot do that for a brief moment. And that brief moment has to be in your muscle memory, otherwise you cannot pull it off. So that's just trying it out and trying over and failing over. But at some point you will realize when you can do it. And at that point you will start to get really consistent. So once you know the menu delay, you can go on and try the move swap more and more, and you can come back to the other things that might or might not go wrong. But yeah, crossing the hands means too slow with swapping the bow from the dragon tooth. Then is the thing that happens if you're way too slow. Like this is if you're normally like too slow with the swapping. But if you're too slow with the menuing in the first place, something else happens. You hear that you're unable to select the bow and switch it for the dragon tooth. That is because you're already in a two-handing of the bow animation. So you saw the character trying to two-hand the bow and you try to swap it out. But during that animation you cannot do anything anymore. So that's why you heard like the little error sounds from the bow, from the menu. So that's normally too slow, and here is the too slow with the bow. So yeah, the menu delay I already explained. Try to get used to it. It's a big part of why a lot of people fail the move swap, and the only thing I can say is practice. So now is the last thing that happens a lot. Being too quick for the move swap. You probably will not have this yet, but if you swing your weapon like that, you're trying to do it, put the L1 on the actual weapon. Or whatever, I don't know. This game is weird, okay? But anyway, I know for sure that if you do the attack with left-handed weapon, you are too quick with move swaps. Which is also a reason why I put on army here, because this is kind of a noob way to make it easier, and I'm gonna explain that in the next one. Alright, so I explained the troubleshooting of the move swap, and inputs are listed on speed source, and you can see them on my controller display. So my tips are get used to the menu delay before you start hating on yourself because you cannot do it, because it's natural. Everyone had it, everyone will have it. Then there is the part where you can put the weapon below the bow. I do not recommend this for the simple reason because you can see my A and down thing. I can just spam them down and just pray it works. You don't really learn it, you just learn to spam. and you pray it works. That's not the reason I like to do it, the way I like to do it, but because if you do it up, you can actually have way more control over when you press, when you're gonna swap and how fast you're gonna swap. So if you're a beginner and you just want to get it like once or twice, I recommend you doing it down. I honestly do. But once you want to get more and more consistent at it, try to get it above the weapon, above the bow, because you have way more control. Then there is a thing to make it easier, because the rule has slightly more recovery frames if you are at higher equipment load. Putting on armor actually helps out a lot with move swapping. You have way more time to do the move swapping. You see there I was way slower than I was before. That's one, and yeah, I cannot show the other one anymore because I don't know where it is, but yeah, at least you notice that you're a lot, you can be a lot slower with armor. And to make that even worse, you can go and get yourself a federal if you're really desperate. And I mean, this is not really useful in speedruns anymore because most of the time picking up armor takes a lot of time to make your federal. But if you're in casual and you just want to move swap, this is a way to do it. So in the federal, you want to press L1 when your character hits the ground, like that. A little bit before now. You can see me press L1 right now. And that will queue up the two-handing animation. So the federal makes it really easy. You can be super slow with the federal. The inputs are the same. I don't think I did it in this video, but the federal is the easiest way to move swap, and the jumping is the fastest way. We do it, at least the easiest / most consistent for me, at least. You can also do it about a lot of other stuff like Fogate animations, gestures, fast roll, mid roll. It doesn't really matter. Anything that can queue up animations, I think you can move swap off. Don't quote me on that because I know that you can't do it on levers, I think. But anyway, the jumping one and the federal are the ones that you really want to get used to if you're doing it for speedruns or casual. So I hope this video really helped you. If it didn't, well, first of all, don't give up after a week and not being consistent at it. I mean, it took everyone a long time to get consistent. If there are any other problems that we might be helping you out with, on speedsouls.com there is the live speedrunners, and every Dark Souls 1 speedrunner basically knows how to move swap, with a few exceptions. Just go there, otherwise go into the Speed Souls team on Twitch and just like invade a channel and go ham with questions. We don't mind it, at least most of us don't. So I hope this tutorial is in any way useful, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye bye.